Good morning to all of you. I welcome you to Vignyan's Foundation for Science, Technology and Research. Myself and Bharat Kumar working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the transformers, specifically single phase transformers. So what is basically a transformer? Transformer is a static electrical machine. Please remember that transformer is a static electrical machine. Static means in this machine there are no rotating parts. All the parts of a transformer are in stationary only. So transformer is a static electrical machine and is used for transforming power from one circuit to another circuit without change in frequency. So transformer transforms power from one circuit to another circuit without change in frequency. And if you consider the transformation of power from one circuit to another circuit, there is no electrical contact between the two circuits. A transformer operates on the principle of mutual inductance between two inductively coupled coils. As I said, there is no electrical contact between the two circuits. Now how these two circuits are going to be connected? If there is no electrical contact between the two circuits, how the power is transferring from one circuit to another circuit? That is by means of mutual inductance between the two inductively coupled coils, because the two circuits are going to be coupled magnetically, not electrically. So if you consider a transformer like this, it contains two windings. This is the primary winding and this is the secondary winding. When you apply voltage to the primary winding, a current will flow in the primary winding. Because of the current, a flux pi will be set up in the core, and this flux links with the secondary winding and a voltage will be induced in the secondary winding. Like this, the power is going to be transferred from primary circuit to the secondary circuit. And if you see, there is no electrical contact. These two windings are not connected by wires. They are coupled by magnetic flux. The winding in which electrical energy is fed. So the winding in which electrical energy is fed is called primary winding. So if you apply voltage here, then this winding is called primary winding. So the winding in which electrical energy is fed is called primary winding, and the other from which energy is drawn is going to be called as secondary winding. So there is no direct electrical connection between the two windings. So there is no direct electrical connection between the two windings and they are magnetically coupled. The two coils are magnetically coupled. Let us discuss about the principle of operation of the transformer.
Basic construction of an electrical transformer. A transformer consists of two sets of insulated coils. One of the coils, called the primary coil, has Np turns. The other coil is called the secondary coil. It has Ns turns. Often the primary coil is the input coil and the secondary coil is the output coil of the transformer. Principle of working of transformer. Electrical transformer works on the principle of mutual induction. When an alternating voltage is applied to the primary coil, the resulting current produces an alternating magnetic flux, which links to the secondary coil and induces an EMF in it, which actually forces the free electrons of the secondary coil and therefore produces alternating current in the secondary coil. This phenomena is called electromagnetic induction and particularly known as mutual induction. As we can see in this animation, that the magnetic field lines of primary coil is not linking perfectly with the secondary coil. Therefore, our energy of magnetic flux is getting wasted. That's why, for holding all the magnetic field lines produced by the primary coil and link it to the secondary coil, we use soft iron core. Transformer cores are usually made up of thin metal sheets stacked in layers. The layers are laminated with varnish or other insulating material. Because transformers can up the voltage or down the voltage, they are classified as step up and step down transformers. If the EMF induced in the secondary output coil is higher than the EMF induced in the primary coil at input, then this type of transformer is called the step-up transformers. And if the EMF induced in the secondary output coil is lesser than the EMF induced in the primary coil at input, then this type of transformers is called step-down transformers. And this higher or lower value of EMF induced depends on the number of turns. Higher will be the number of turns, higher will be the EMF induced in the coil. So by just changing the number of turns in the primary or secondary coil, we can convert a step-up transformer to step-down transformer or vice versa.
A transformer works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. So the principle of operation of transformer is electromagnetic induction. So according to that, an EMF will be induced in a coil whenever a changing flux links into the coil. Let us consider two coils. Apply a voltage to the first coil. So this is coil 1. When you apply an alternating voltage to coil 1, an alternating current will flow through the coil 1. Because of this alternating current, a flux will be produced around the coil. Some of the flux links with the coil 2, and because of this changing flux, an EMF will be induced. This EMF will be induced because of the electromagnetic induction. So this process is called electromagnetic induction. The same principle we are going to use to study the operation of transformer. Okay. So electromagnetic induction is nothing but the EMF is induced in a coil if it links a changing flux. See here in the second coil, in the coil 2, an EMF is induced. And how this EMF is induced? Because of the flux linking with the coil 2. And this flux linking is an alternating flux which is produced by the alternating current in the primary winding. So this is the principle of operation of transformer. See here, when you supply a sinusoidal voltage, a sinusoidal current will flow through the winding in the primary coil. So this primary current, so whatever the dots, arrow marks indicated, that is the primary current. The current is flowing through the primary winding. And because of this, the flux is going to be produced. This blue lines indicates the flux. And when you apply a voltage, a current will flow and the current will produce magnetic flux. This voltage, current and flux are alternating in nature, because when you apply a alternating voltage, an alternating current will flow through the winding and this current produces alternating flux. Whenever this alternating flux links with the second coil, an EMF will be induced here. Because of this EMF, a current will be produced when a load is connected across the terminals. This is the working principle. Let us discuss this point wise. So when the primary winding is supplied with an AC source, when a primary winding is supplied with an AC source, an alternating mutual flux linking both the windings is set up. So when you supply an alternating voltage, a flux will be set up which links to both the coils. Because of this mutual flux, an voltage is induced in the secondary winding. This is the induced voltage in the secondary winding. Now the transformer action requires the existence of the alternating mutual flux. Please keep that in mind. So the principle of operation of transformer mainly depends upon the existence of alternating mutual flux. When this mutual flux links with the secondary winding, then an EMF will be induced. So basically a transformer consists of two inductive coils. So first one we are going to call it as primary and the second one secondary winding. These two coils are electrically separated but not magnetically. The primary winding and secondary winding are electrically separated but they are linked magnetically. When primary winding is connected to a source, and what is the type of the source we are using here? Alternating voltage. Then alternating magnetic flux is produced around the winding. The core provides the magnetic path for the flux linkage to get linked with the secondary winding. This is the iron core. So this is called as core. And what is the function of this core? When there is no core, what happens? Whatever the flux produced by the current in the primary winding, that will escape into the atmosphere. When there is an iron core, the iron core will act as a path, just like a conductor which will act as a path for the current to flow. This iron core will act as a path for the flux to flow. If there is no iron core, the flux produced will escape into the atmosphere. That flux is called leakage flux. The flux will be leaked. Maximum flux will not be linked with the coil 2. When there is a core, then the maximum flux is going to link with the core. So it will act like a conducting medium for the magnetic flux to flow. So the core provides a magnetic path for the flux to get linked with the secondary winding. The flux links with the secondary winding is going to be called as useful flux or main flux. And the flux which doesn't link with the second coil or which escapes into the atmosphere, we are going to call it as leakage flux. As the flux produced is alternating, the EMF gets induced in the secondary winding according to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. This EMF is going to be called as mutually induced EMF. And the frequency of the mutually induced EMF is same as that of the supply frequency. Because the transformer principle is it has to transform power from one circuit to another circuit without change in frequency. So the frequency of the EMF induced across the secondary coil will match with the frequency of the supply voltage. If the secondary winding is a closed circuit, then obviously the current will flow. When you connect a load to the secondary winding, a current will flow through the secondary winding. This is the explanation of the principle of operation of a transformer. Next, constructional details. Let us discuss the constructional details of transformer. As I told you earlier, there are three main parts of a transformer. What is the first one? First one is the primary winding. Second one is the secondary winding. And third, laminated core. So there are three main parts of a transformer: primary winding, secondary winding and core, magnetic core. And this core is laminated. So that means the core is made up of thin laminations and they are going to be mounted. Why we are going to make the laminations? To reduce the eddy current loss. The windings are made up of high grade copper. So what is the material used to manufacture the windings? Windings are nothing but wires which are twisted into form of a circular turns. These windings are made up of high grade copper. Okay. Coming to the core. So what about the core? Core is made up of silicon steel or sheet steel with 4% silicon. So the laminated core is going to be made up of silicon steel or sheet steel with 4% silicon. The core plates of a transformer are made up of silicon steel. These sheets contain 4% of silicon. To reduce eddy current losses, we are going to make a laminated core. Based upon the construction, the transformer core is going to be divided into two types. So first one is called the core type transformer and the second one is shell type transformer.
The transformer core helps to effectively transfer magnetic flux in the primary winding to the secondary winding. The core is made up of thin slices of highly permeable material. In this video, we will go through different types of core construction. Transformers can be broadly classified as core and shell type. In a core type transformer, the winding surrounds the core. A single-phase core type transformer is constructed in the following way. In a shell type transformer, the core surrounds the winding.
In case of core type transformer, the windings will surround the core. Coming to the shell type transformer, in case of shell type transformer, the iron core surrounds the copper windings. So there is a difference between core type and shell type. In case of core type, copper windings surround the core. In case of shell type, iron core surrounds the copper winding. To reduce the eddy current losses induced in the core, we are going to make thin laminations. Let us discuss the core type transformers. So this is an example of core type transformer. So if you observe here, in case of simple core type transformer, we are having a single magnetic circuit. There is only one core here. That means for the flux to flow, there is only one path. When there is only one core, the flux will flow through this path. vertical part of the core. The vertical part of the core we are going to call it as limb. So this is also a limb. Okay, the vertical part of the core. These are the two vertical parts of the core. We are going to call them as limbs. And the horizontal parts. These horizontal parts we are going to call them as yokes. Okay, the vertical parts are going to be called as limbs, and the horizontal parts of the core we are going to call them as yokes. And if the windings are provided in the limbs, that means here the windings are going to surround the core. So the windings are going to be surround the core. The vertical members of the core are called as limbs, and the horizontal members are going to be called as yokes. So each limb of core type transformer carries half of the primary winding and half of the secondary winding. So in the diagram, for the sake of understanding, we have connected primary winding on one side and secondary winding on another side. But actually, in case of a core type transformer, only half of the primary winding is connected on one limb and half of the secondary winding is going to be connected on the same limb. That means the primary winding and secondary winding are divided into two parts, and each part is going to be connected across vertical limbs. So like this, see here. So half of the winding, this LV winding and HV winding. So LV means low voltage, HV means high voltage. I will discuss about the voltage levels later. So see, I am going to consider, for example, here LV as primary and HV as secondary. So half of the primary winding is connected to the first limb and half of the secondary winding is connected around the primary winding. Similarly, in the second limb or second leg, so half of the primary winding is connected and around that another half is going to be connected. If you observe here, the winding is around the core. That's why we are going to call it as core type transformer. In case of a shell type transformer, there are two magnetic circuits in parallel. In case of a core type transformer, we are having only a single magnetic circuit, but coming to the shell type transformer, we are having two magnetic circuits in parallel. So like this, see here. So we are having one magnetic circuit, another second magnetic circuit. Here the flux is going to be flowing in the first magnetic circuit as well as in the second magnetic circuit, and these two are connected in parallel. So the total winding is going to be considered in the central limb of the transformer. Such type of transformer we are going to call it as shell type. So the core surrounds the winding. Winding is in the central part of the limb, and surrounding that winding we are having the core. That's why here the core surrounds the winding. This is an example. The windings are going to be placed in the central part of the limb, and surround that we are having the core. That means here the core surrounds the limb. Now let us compare the core type and shell type transformer. If you see, in case of core type transformer, there is only one magnetic circuit, but in case of shell type transformer, we are having two magnetic circuits. Now coming to the core type transformer, it has two limbs. In case of shell type transformer, the core has three limbs. In case of core type transformer, the mechanical protection is very less. The mechanical protection for the coil is less. Here, in case of shell type transformer, the mechanical protection is very good. We are going to provide better cooling because the coils are exposed to the atmosphere. So that's why the better cooling can be provided to the coils in case of core type transformer. Here the cooling is not affected because the winding is going to be considered in the central limb, which is not going to be exposed to the atmosphere. So the coil is not going to be exposed to the atmosphere. That's why the cooling is not very effective here. Here we can provide natural cooling. Here we cannot provide natural cooling. This transformer is easy to repair, and shell type transformer we cannot repair easily. The winding is surrounded considerable part of the core, but here the core is surrounded a considerable part of the winding. See here, in case of shell type transformer, so the core is wound around the central limb. Surround the winding we are having two limbs. That means the wire will have proper mechanical strength. But what about the cooling? Whenever the current flows through the winding, the coil gets heated up. Since it is concentrated in the center part of the limb, the coil is not going to be exposed to the atmosphere. That's why in case of shell type transformer, the cooling is not effective. So coming to the core type transformer here, the primary winding, the coils are going to be wound around the limbs. That means here the winding surrounds the core. So that's why there is less mechanical protection. Mechanical protection is not effective in case of core type transformer. Since these windings are more exposed to the atmosphere, there will be natural cooling will be more effective in case of core type transformer. So these are the differences between core type and shell type transformers. So based upon the construction, there are two types of transformers. One is core type, another one is shell type. That already we discussed. Now, based upon the principle of operation, the transformers are divided into two types. First one is step-up transformer. Second one, step-down transformer.
As you can see here, in this case, coil of left side, or we can call it primary coil, has lesser number of turns than the coil on right side, or we can call it secondary coil. And the transformer is called as step-up transformer. In this case, voltage which induced on secondary coil V out is higher than the voltage which is applied V in on the primary coil, whereas the current get reduced as the power has to remain constant. Similarly, when primary coil has more number of turns than the number of turn in secondary coil, the transformer is called as a step-down transformer, and the voltage induced on the secondary side V out is less than the applied voltage V in on primary side.
Because I am going to apply voltage to this winding, that's why I am going to consider this one as the primary winding. If you apply voltage to this one, we are going to call that one as primary and the other one as secondary. Now here I am going to assume that the number of turns of primary winding as N1 and the number of turns of the secondary winding as N2. If N1 is equals to N2, that means if the primary winding and secondary winding contain same number of turns, then whatever the voltage you are going to apply, the same voltage will appear across the secondary winding. Both the coils contain same number of turns, that means same amount of flux links in the two coils. That's why in case of secondary winding also, the power remains same because the transformer transforms the same power. So whatever the voltage that is going to be produced supplied here, the same voltage will be induced in the secondary winding. That means the voltage is not going to be decrease or increase. The same level of voltage or current will appear across both the windings. Such type of transformers we are going to call it as isolation transformers. So when the same voltage is induced across the secondary winding, whatever the voltage you applied, if the same voltage is appear across the secondary winding or induced across the secondary winding, then the such type of transformers are called as isolation transformers. If N1 is less than N2, that means if the secondary winding contains more number of turns compared to the primary, if the secondary winding contains more number of turns, then more flux will links with the secondary winding. So the voltage induced in the secondary winding will be greater than the primary winding. Such type of transformers are going to be called as step-up transformer. Here the voltage is going to be increased from primary to secondary. The level of the voltage is increased. Now what about step-down transformers? Obviously in case of step-down transformer, the primary winding contains more number of turns than the secondary winding. That's why the voltage also V1 greater than V2. So this is the classification of transformer based upon the operation. So one is step-up transformer, another one is step-down transformer. Now what about the currents here? So in case of step-up transformer, N1 is less than N2. That means the secondary winding contains more number of turns than the primary winding. Then if you apply voltage V1, or the voltage that across the secondary winding will always be higher than the primary winding. So in case of step up transformer, V1 is less than V2, or V2 is greater than V1. Now what about the currents I1 and I2? So what is the function of a transformer? Transformer transforms power from one circuit to another circuit. The power levels will never be increased. Whatever the power you applied at the input, the same power will appear across the output. Okay, so that means the power in the primary winding is equal to the power in the secondary winding always. The transformer just transforms the power from primary winding to secondary winding, that's it. In case of step up transformer, what happens? The voltage increases from primary winding to secondary winding, the voltage gets increases. From the definition of power, we are going to say that P1 is V1 I1 and P2 is V2 I2. So what is V1 by V2? I2 by I1. Now what is the ratio here? V1 by V2. See, V1 is less than V2, that means V1 by V2 is less than 1. If V1 less than V2, V1 by V2 will always less than 1. So this is always less than 1. That implies I2 by I1 is also less than 1. So if I2 by I1 is less than 1, then we can write I2 is less than I1. So if you observe the current in the secondary winding is less than the current in the primary winding. What about the voltage? So V2 is greater than V1. So when V2 is greater than V1, I2 is less than I1. Why this is going to happen? Because the power is same in both primary winding and secondary winding. So in case of step up transformer, the voltage will increase in the secondary winding, but current will decrease proportionally to make sure that the same power is transforming from primary winding to secondary winding. Similarly, so in case of step down transformer, the secondary winding contains less number of turns when you compare with the primary winding. So N2 is less than N1. So the step down indicates that output voltage is less than the input voltage. V2 is less than V1. Then what happens to the current? So always P1 is equals to P2. The power supplied is equal to the power delivered. So in case of primary winding, the power is V1 I1. In case of the secondary winding, the power is V2 I2. So V1 by V2 is equals to I2 by I1. So here V1 by V2 is greater than 1. V2 less than V1 means if you take V2 that side, V1 by V2 is greater than 1. That means I2 by I1 is greater than 1. So from this we can say that I2 is greater than I1. So when V2 is less than V1, in case of currents it is exactly reverse. I2 is greater than I1. So when voltage reduces, current increases to make sure the same power is going to be delivered from primary to secondary. So the voltage and currents are exactly opposite. So this is how the current and voltage relationships exist in case of a transformer. Now let us try to derive the EMF equation of a transformer. So here I have considered a transformer which contains primary winding and secondary winding, and assume that there are N1 number of turns in the primary winding and N2 number of turns in the secondary winding. Now apply a voltage V1 to the primary winding, which is having a frequency of F. So the frequency is always measured in terms of Hz. When you apply voltage V1, a current I1 will flow through the primary winding N1. And I am going to assume that a flux pi1 is going to be produced due to current I1. Let pi max is the maximum flux that is going to be induced. Let assume that pi max is the maximum flux induced. Since you apply an alternating voltage, an alternating current will be produced. Because of this alternating current, the flux produced is also alternating. That means whatever may be the flux that is going to be produced, it is also sinusoidal in nature. The flux is also sinusoidal in nature. So the pi max, the maximum value of the flux is reached in how many seconds? So this is the pi max value. How much time it takes to reach the flux to its maximum value, first maximum value. If you assume the total time period for one cycle as t, then within the first quarter cycle, that means within t by 4 seconds, the flux reaches its maximum value. Therefore, the average value of the flux is going to be obtained in t by 4 seconds. So we can call this one as 4 into pi max by t. And how this frequency and time period are related? They are inversely related. Time period is nothing but 1 by f. So if you substitute in place of t 1 by f, then you are going to get the average flux as 4 pi max f. That is the average flux. And this flux I have considered for only one turn. How many turns are there here? N1 turns are there. So the average flux per turn is obtained as 4 into pi max into f. So therefore the average flux per turn is 4 into pi max into f. The average flux per turn is nothing but d pi by dt. So the d pi by dt is nothing but 4 into pi max into f. And what is the induced EMF? The formula for induced EMF is equals to minus n1 into d pi by dt. The induced EMF in coil 1 primary winding. So if you see here, when you apply voltage V1, a current flows and an EMF will be induced in this primary winding. Now what is the formula for E1? The formula for E1 is nothing but minus N1 into d pi 1 by dt. Okay. So E1 is nothing but minus N1 into d pi by dt. Now what is d pi by dt? 4 pi max f minus N1 into 4 into pi max into f. This is the average value of the induced EMF, because this d pi by dt is the average flux per turn. That's why this E1 is nothing but the average value of the induced EMF. As I told you earlier that always the AC quantities are going to be measured in RMS values. Now how you are going to calculate the RMS value of the induced EMF? You have to calculate the RMS value of the quantity. Now what is the factor that relates RMS and average values? Form factor. We know that form factor is equals to RMS value by average value. So the form factor is RMS value by average value. In case of sinusoidal waveform, the form factor is nothing but 1.11. We already derived. The form factor of a sinusoidal waveform is 1.11. From this expression, we can calculate the RMS value of the induced voltage as 1.11 into average value. So I am going to represent the RMS value as E1 itself. So E1 is equals to 1.11 into, what is the average value? N1 4 pi max f minus 4 into N1 into pi max into f, which is equivalent to minus 4.44 pi m. So the induced EMF in case of a transformer is minus 4.44 pi max f into N1. So this is the induced EMF equation of a transformer. This EMF equation is derived when you apply voltage to the primary winding. Suppose if you apply the voltage to secondary winding, then and follow the same procedure, then we can obtain the EMF equation, the induced EMF equation in secondary winding as minus 4.44 the pi max frequency f N2. So this is the EMF equation in case of a secondary winding. Only change is the number of turns. When you transfer energy from one winding to another winding, the frequency is not going to change. If the frequency doesn't change, the flux also doesn't change. The maximum value of the flux also doesn't change. So the E2, the difference between E1 and E2 is number of turns only. Next, transformation. So we just now derived E1 as minus 4.44 pi max f N1. And what about E2? Minus 4.44 pi max f N2. Now what is E1 by E2? E1 by E2 is nothing but minus 4.44 pi max F N2 N1 divided by minus 4.44 pi max F N2. Here these are all the constants which get cancels, and we are going to get E1 by E2 as N1 by N2. This ratio is called the transformation ratio. So E1 by E2 is equals to N1 by N2. This is called the transformation ratio. Now what is formula for power? Power is equals to voltage into current. In case of primary winding, P1 is V1 I1, and in case of secondary winding, P2 is V2 I2. But what is a transformer? Transformer transfers energy from primary to secondary without change in frequency. That means P1 is equals to P2 in case of transformer. Then if you equate the equations, V1 I1 is equals to V2 I2. From this, what is the value of V1 by V2? I2 by I1. That means the primary voltage is inversely, the voltages in the windings are inversely proportional to the corresponding currents in their windings. Now you can combine these two ratios, which gives rise to E1 by E2 is equals to now if you combine the two expressions, V1 by V2 is equals to I2 by I1, which is equal to N1 by N2. So this is the transformation ratio of a single phase transformer. So that's all for today. With this, we have completed the EMF equation and transformation ratio. In the next class, we will solve some problems on the transformation ratio and EMF equation of transformer. Thank you.